So we're seeing you guys here with the new music video, Right Through Me. How does the concept play into the message behind the song?
Ooh, that is the art guy's department, not mine.
So that song is a lot about like some of the silly, insanely inane arguments that you can get into with people that you've been with, and like not just relationships but friends as well over time. Just the fact that you know each other so well, you start nitpicking every single thing you possibly can. When you take a step back, you realize, what are we talking about? Why are we arguing about this? That scene in the living room, quote unquote living room looking set, is supposed to be me having a conversation with this figure, and this figure doesn't say anything throughout the entire video. It attacks me at the end of it. And finally, the idea is that it bubbles up and it blows up after the fact that it wasn't able to communicate and wasn't able to express itself. Beyond that, though, mostly just visual, just cool, different things that we wanted people to look at and enjoy. But yeah, that's what the song's about.
You guys had been on a bit of a break since your LP Better Off. What made you guys think that now was the right time to start releasing some new music?
Either this one.
So funny that you say that. We have not been on a break at all. We have been diligently working the entire time.
It definitely looks like we were, because there was a lull for a long time.
So we've actually, this is something we've talked about a couple times. When at the end of 2019, on the last tour that we were on, I think it was like December of 2019, we were sitting in the van in a parking lot of like a Planet Fitness or Anytime Fitness or something after a show. And John, Brian, and I were talking, and we were talking about like what the next year was going to look like. We had pretty much run the album cycle all the way through. It had been a year and a half since our debut record came out.
Into the ground.
Yeah. So we'd been touring on that for a year and a half, and we were just before we left, we had started writing a couple new songs. And so I told everyone, like, we need to sit down and write the next album. We might not play any shows or do any tours in 2020. So we kind of got to be prepared to like go and write and record a new record. And then COVID hit, and obviously there were no shows. So we basically like just started chugging right along on writing our new record. We finished it up we recorded it and finished it in like September.
Yeah, just about.
So about September of last year. But then when it came time to actually release it, we didn't want to put out a record like when there was going to be no signs of playing shows or touring or anything. Right. So we kind of delayed the release of the new music
a little bit.
Yeah, by a couple months.
The time was being used. Like we were making music videos and etc.
Yeah, so the timing actually worked out great because it gave us more time than we had ever had to prepare for a release. So we're actually like quite a bit ahead on music videos and content and planning compared to our last record, where it was like
I finished it and I was like, let's put it out.
People got to hear it right now. So we have actually been working this whole time. It's just all the work has finally come to the point where we're releasing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right Through Me is the first single off your new upcoming LP. Was there something about this particular track that you guys were like, that is our first single for sure?
Yeah. It is pretty indicative of our new sound, but it also serves as a bit of a bridge because it is a little more energetic and faster than a lot of the new music. We're going for, I mean, you guys will see, but we're going for something a little groovier, little more, I guess you could say, like feeling and soul behind a lot of the music as opposed to just being fast. But Right Through Me fills that purpose while also, I guess, not alienating the previous fans who really liked the fast pop punk stuff.
Yeah, so we made a pretty big change sound wise when we started recording this record, or when we started writing it. And everyone will see as we start dropping more singles, there's a lot of things that are pretty new compared to what we did on our previous record. And I think the first two singles that we're putting out, we kind of collectively all agreed that those are like the two favorite songs of ours. And we have a little bit of disagreement on the 5th single.
It's my favorite song on the record. He doesn't like it.
It's good. It's not my favorite.
It's also John's, so 2 out of 3.
Well, we'll see whatever. I mean, maybe
majority rules, guys.
So it's just like the most energetic, and we kind of wanted to make a statement when we dropped the first song in 3 years that like we're back. The shit slaps. It's like expect this from the whole record.
Right.
With the LP coming out soon, do you have a release date picked yet, or is that still hush hush?
We do have a release date. We haven't announced it yet, and it's technically not fully confirmed. There is
like 90%.
We're pretty confident we know when it's coming out, but there's always a chance that something might delay it. So we're not quite ready to fully announce when it'll come out. It should be before the end of the year, though. But yeah. I don't want to go on record picking a date and then the small chance that something changes happens and then I lied.
We are anticipating fall.
How much of a hand did the home team then have when it came to the production side of this upcoming LP? Are you guys super hands-on, or do you guys kind of, leave it to the professionals?
We are so
very, very, very hands-on.
So nitpicky.
Maybe that's why the date's not confirmed yet.
I can't say the album is done.
The music is totally done. We finally did it. It took a long time, but we did it.
We told ourselves we cannot complain anymore if there's something later down the road where we're like, oh, I really wish I'd changed that. There's like 2 things that I go back and I'm like, next time.
There's like 2 things for me too.
Yeah, but they're so small. It just does not matter.
We could sit around and nitpick our own music for years.
There's no such thing as perfect, guys. Move on.
Right.
Exactly. So for this record, we flew our friend Sky from he used to play in Issues, or I guess plays in Issues. I don't know what they're doing. So Sky produced the record for us. So after we wrote everything, we flew him out and spent about a week like basically re-recording the demos just to make sure we had ironed out every single kink. We knew everything we wanted to have on the final product, and kind of worked a little bit on song structure with him. He is actually one of the driving forces behind how nitpicky we got, because we were talking to him and we kind of had this idea in our previous record. We held back on some things and kind of, assumed that the engineer we were working with knew better. And after working with Sky, he basically said, nobody knows your music better than you do. No one gets the vision better than you do. So just give every note you possibly can. And that opened the floodgates for us to just go insanely in depth. Like, I can still think of, there's a couple of drum parts where I heard something that was kind of off and no one else heard it. I had to call up, I had to literally get on FaceTime with Seb, who mixed it.
You're like, that's the part. That's the part.
We literally he has like a plugin that he can show. You can go through a Zoom call and show the audio in real time. So
okay. So you're like 7.1. That's the drum part.
Yeah, exactly. And I pointed it out. He had to zoom in really close, and he's like, oh, I guess you're right. I guess it is a little bit early. And no one else. There's examples like that all over the place. But this is, I've never been more proud of a piece of music.
So we're not going to not make it perfect.
Yeah. As perfect as we can get.
Right.
Will there be some live events, touring coming up? Maybe you guys are working on for this LP, or are we sticking to live streams just for the moment?
We are. I literally sent out some emails today to work on the released shows for the record. As far as touring, kind of up in the air. We don't want to be the first band back to go on a tour. I would much rather wait an extra couple months and make sure that other bands are touring and that it is fully safe for our fans to come to shows. Um, I feel like it would be really irresponsible for us to push it by a couple months, play a show too early, and have
somebody get sick.
have a COVID outbreak at one of our shows. In the band, we're all vaccinated. We got vaccinated as soon as we possibly could, and we encourage everyone else to do the same. But as far as touring goes, I would expect in 2022 for us to hit the ground running at that point. We'll definitely be playing some local shows, at least in Seattle and in the Northwest, before the end of the year, though.
Could you guys tell me what you've missed most then about being on stage? I don't know if Brian could start.
Sure, why not? Oh man, there are a lot of things I miss about tour specifically. Being on stage, I would say it definitely holds me accountable for being good at my craft, because there was definitely a period of time during quarantine where I was not practicing. I wasn't singing because there was really no eventually I had to because we started recording, but there was no real immediate motivation to be constantly practicing, and shows do that for me. And not to mention, singing every single night makes me a lot better. Every single time I come back from a tour, I feel like I am a better singer. Secondly, who doesn't love playing to a bunch of people that love your music? I really miss connecting with people in real life and our fans. That was so sick, especially in the last couple tours, because the first 7 were grinds and we played to nobody forever. But it was just the last few that we started to really see big turnouts and people really enjoying our music. And man, that is such a validating feeling. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I miss the actual fan reactions and getting to talk to people after the show, because there's no point in my life where I have more endorphins going and more dopamine than right after a set. And especially when people who I just watched, dancing along and singing along to our music come up and talk to us and ask questions and stuff. That's the most exciting part of being in a band. We started a Patreon in September or October, and that has helped bridge the gap a lot, because it gave us a lot of motivation, seeing wow, there are people out there that really do like us and are willing to just help support our band, in whatever silly content we're putting up on Patreon, and want to actually engage with us. So that helped a lot for the motivation. But seeing fans one-on-one in person, that's what I miss.
Yep, straight up.
Is there anything else then about this upcoming LP or anything you guys have been working on recently you want to be sure we share with our readers and fans of the hometown?
We got a new album coming out this fall. It's the best thing we've ever made. What else?
Yeah, artistically, man, I am very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Satisfied.
I am satisfied.
Yep.
Artistically with what we did. I don't know if I can do any better than what we did, and I am psyched on our new music, and I hope everyone likes it as much as I like it.
Me too. I think I remember John saying in a previous interview, he said something about he felt as though this album is a much better expression of who we are as musicians. And I totally agree with that. And that's why I'm excited for people to hear it.